Guys, hi, this is a response to Ben. And I'm not going to say anything more about Ben. I'll leave Ben's privacy alone, but I'm going to read you part of his email. It's kind of long, which is okay. I like long emails, but I think it's worthwhile to share it with you guys, and then I'll give my response. It says, hi Kurt, I'll keep it shortish, since I'd imagine you have quite a few people contacting you. It's not that a lot of people contact me, it's that the people contact me with great questions in email, requiring a lot of thought on my part, and that's why I'm so slow in getting back. I'm not currently into any of the social networking sites, so I figured email would be the best way to go. Really enjoyed your video, started out on the ban in Japan, and that's where my interest lies. I'm kind of going a little quickly through his message, just a long one. Been checking out some of your videos. Okay, he's just talking about me. He says, lately moved to Yamaguchi Prefecture and lived with my wife's family for a few months back in 2009 with the intention of permanently settling in the countryside with wife and daughter. Started out great, helping in J-Dad's shop, working a few days of the week at family's auto business, exploring the countryside and just getting a feeling of Japan. No, he's not a shop, actually a farmer, helping out on the farm. What a cool life. Ran into some unexpecteds. J folks non-supportive of the lifestyle we wanted to pursue, that being country living, farming, and teaching English, and difficulty finding a place to live away from the city limits. Although the town I was living in was known as rural, found the abandoned onsen resort that I said I'd send you a video of on the edge of the town. Cool. I still want to see that. The other unexpected things I came across were much of what you have discussed. To get to the point, I really wanted to share with you a thought I have about moving from Japan to the US. And in so doing, I hope not only possibly open a door to a new realm of thought to you, but also maybe make some headway in my decision on moving back to Japan. I'm moving around quite a bit throughout the state. I've moved around quite a bit throughout the States as a means of self-fulfillment and gained a lot from it. What I've always found is that I've always been the same person in a different place. Me too. Although I do change, it's not the places that change me, it's other things. Well, the places contribute to it, but for the most part, the same person. The changes are so incremental as to not really notice. Like my father used to say, I've had this hammer all, for 50 years, 7 new handles and 3 new heads. It's still somehow the same hammer is. It says, same person in a different place, which is fine, of course. But what I found with my time in Japan is that the frame of mind that I expected to bring with me as I departed the US, and again when I departed Japan, quickly changed. This is interesting. It's a bit difficult to articulate, and I think he does a good job, but it is hard. It's difficult to articulate this, but I'm hoping that you will catch in my drift. I think I do. Maybe you've already pondered this in fact. I hadn't pondered in fact, but I do catch your drift, I think. In my case, the overall individualism that I felt living abroad as an outsider in Japan faded rather quickly as I molded back into somebody living in the US. Fascinating, fascinating. You really do have that sense of individualism here in a society that really kind of suppresses individualism, but I can see how that could fade as you go back to your own culture where you fit in. I agree that the people of Japan live in a state of conformity, but the perspective that I gained from being an outsider jolted me into an alertness that the US jolted me into an alertness that I enjoyed and hoped to continue with in the USA after leaving the stresses I was encountering in Japan. Fascinating, fascinating. I could see how you could go back, the heightened senses that we have here as foreigners outside. Everything that I do is kind of a heightened sense of thing, in part because you're like a bulb of a different color passing through a landscape that's its own hue. I'm a bad example perhaps, or just an animal that doesn't belong in that environment, and as a result that's a better example. Like you're like a polar bear in the jungle, right? The polar bear is going to be in a strange place, and it's always got its senses on the alert as a result, and the environment treats it differently as well. Time for a swig of beer. So as foreigners in Japan, we're like polar bears in the jungle, but we go back to our own countries, and our country go back to the US, we're going back to Alaska or Canada or Siberia, and you're back, and you kind of zip back in. It jolted me into an alertness that I enjoyed and hope to continue in the US. Yeah, I enjoy this alertness as well. You're right. Wow. Damn, dude, you got it. That's really interesting. After leaving the stresses I was encountering in Japan. So we have the stresses, but we have the benefits. Yeah, that's an old idea. The two play off one another, right? But the way you put it, the way you described it, the illustration that you made, man, I don't know if I want to give that up. Instead, the eventual conformity that the U.S. encourages creeps back in and continues to stifle. And you highlight, you italicize the U.S. in that, because the U.S. does have its own conformity too. I could dive deeper into this, but I'm sure you can appreciate. I think I more than appreciate. I am stunned and it's thrilling that this idea. I love it when a new perspective comes about. And that's one of the reasons I really appreciate people who write to me. Sometimes people write to me and they apologize in the email. They say, "I'm sorry to write to you." You know, this is like picking the fruit of all the labors, of all the videos that I make and stuff like that. That's like the hard work of caring for the tree and nurturing it, and watering it. And when someone sends me an email, that's like pulling the fruit off. And wow, I get to actually, you know, enjoy that. The fruit, the interaction with you guys is what is the best part of this. What I had checked the camera's really on. That would suck if it wasn't. What I can definitely appreciate is the stress. The reason it would suck is because I'm really hitting on the idea that he's saying, and I want to capture that enthusiasm. If you try to take two, yes, I'm very enthusiastic. You know, kind of dwindles, even though you really are. So I really am. I want you to know how enthusiastic I am about your idea. What I can definitely appreciate is the stress of being the breadwinner in Japan. Yes, I made a video called what was it called? Crud, I can't remember. I'll try to remember and link it up here by the prow of this boat. Anyway, it was called, what was it called? I can't remember. It talked about my issue not being the man of the house. I can't be the man of the house when I can't function in this country. I failed in language and reading and writing and speaking, and as a result, my wife has to take care of everything. And she's kind of an old-fashioned gal, and I'm kind of an old-fashioned guy. And she wants a man to be a man, and I'm a man and I want to be a man, right? It's not that I'm going to dominating, guy, barefoot and pregnant, but I take my role. Back in the States, I was a take charge kind of man. I went over this in the other video, but so let's get into that. What I can definitely appreciate is the stress of being the breadwinner in Japan. Just had a friend leave the countryside of Kyushu after moving there for a year with wife and 3 kids. It was their dream. The stress of money got to them though, and he's back in the U.S. by himself working for his old company. Interesting. That's interesting. Wow, because I get contacted by a lot of people who want to do that dream, and there's a reality to that. I honestly miss the conversations that I had with myself, in my head of course, while in Japan. Almost feel like I'm watching my past thoughts in some of your vids. I'm definitely not trying to deter you from moving to the US. Hope I don't come across that way. I suck at emails. No, you don't. At the risk of you not even reading this, I better stop. Maybe I'll run into you someday. I live in Portland, Oregon area. Take care, Ben. Now, the reason I kind of chuckled there is that it never ceases to amaze me. I get a lot of people who kind of like, amazed. If you read this email, I'm sorry it's long. I'm not that kind of guy, and I don't feel like that kind of guy. And I'm sorry, kind of, if people get that impression from my videos. Maybe it's because the audience has grown, and maybe that's just what comes of that. But it's like I feel like I get a message from my friend Ben. And I'm really grateful for it. I don't think I need to respond to this any more than I have already in the interaction, reading the email and reading my response. I hear what you're saying, and I gain. There's the ferry, by the way. There's the ferry that goes from one part of this harbor to another. That ferry boat there. I gain a sense of what you're saying. I think I understand what you're saying, and I agree with what you're saying. And I'm going to bring those thoughts to mind and help them with the decision that we're making. We have pretty much made up our mind. We're going back. It's pretty much a matter of when now. My daughter tells me recently that she'd like to stay through high school here, which is just fine, but she just started junior high. We'll see how long. She also told me in the same breath that she never wants to take a day off. She wants to go to school every day. So, her perspective is a little off. Whereas just 2 months ago, she couldn't wait to get back to the States. So it's all for her. So we'll kind of base it all on what happens with her. But us part of it is important too. I'm going to sign off for now, Ben. Thank you so much. I'm sorry to be so long, 9 days or so in getting back to you. And I appreciate your message. Anybody else that chose to watch this video. I think that this video should go over on the LylesBrother channel because I think it's full of rich and insightful information that might be a benefit to a lot of people who might be thinking of coming to Japan or leaving Japan after they've come. So thank you, Ben, for sharing your insight, which I can then share with others. Take care, friends. Bye-bye, everybody. See you from the ocean.